Welcome back to the QPL World Championship. We are live from QuakeCon at home. Joining us now, Lethal. Thanks for joining us. And of course, Ketchup, welcome back. We're now moving to the NA region where we have our two relegation matches. Of course, if you're just joining us, Garpy and Sparty staying alive and keeping their QPL lives fresh, I guess you could say, going into what's next. So we've got our next matchup, whaz versus Effortless, and just been keeping an eye on chat, gentlemen. And I gotta say, it's a pretty split bag, but there's a lot of individuals out there that are like, whaz is going to do it. This is his moment. A lot that are saying, nope, Effortless is going to be on top of this one. Not looking for predictions yet. Want to talk about these two players. Let's start with whaz, who took his way through the Challenger and finds himself here with an opportunity to make it into the QPL.
I mean, if anything, it's just great to see whaz back. I know he's always been known as a team player. A lot of players kind of in the last few years of Quake Champions have really had no choice but to learn how to duel of this level. Now, I'm sure everyone that plays Quake Champions competitively does duel as well, but it's just, with the level of players that exist here, the grind can be quite severe. However, there have been players out there that can prove that the grind does yield great results. Maxter, a clear example. Zeniku, a clear example. We'll be seeing them later today, of course. But in whaz's case, in the practice matches leading up to QuakeCon, he's been looking pretty good.
Yeah, he has been completely agree. I'm pretty gobsmacked, actually. whaz is one of those players, everyone's known he's been around for quite a long time. More of a team-oriented player, but still a very good duelist as well. And one thing to talk about whaz is, yeah, you talk about the scrimmages now, Ketchup, and it's the fact that he's had back and forth matches against Sagib, against the Hang, very close as well. Just every single game, either 50-50 in terms of games going back and forth in terms of wins. Even against Rafa, some were one-sided and some were very close in terms of the having a respectable score. So Effortless needs to really be on his toes this time around, because Effortless, may struggle this time around in this match against whaz. And whaz, he hasn't been in the Pro League since, what, Season 1, Stage 2, something like that, when he got relegated. So it's been a fair while indeed.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Effortless a little bit more in depth, right? Taking a look at how he performed during Stage 3, not unfortunately finding any wins there. A lot of 0-3s. We talked a lot. This isn't just about Effortless' story. This is about NA's story, in which the talent and the skill level of NA has certainly leveled up. So not only are players within the NA region finding themselves in a situation where they have to fight for their lives, but anyone who is going to be coming through challengers into regulation is going to be meeting a full set of talent that maybe wasn't in the same spot even a couple stages ago. And I think that's an interesting part of what we are seeing here. But any other thoughts on Effortless before we take a look at the picks and bans?
I'm worried for Effortless purely because of that kind of skill gap that we mentioned before. The reality is, Effortless, he's a great player, but the level of talent that exists in the NA side, or the Americas, I should say, of Pro League, it's starting to get tighter and tighter. And with how good whaz has been looking in practice, I know practice is not the same as tournament, so it's how you play on the day that matters most. But I would be sad to see Effortless kind of get left behind, as it were. I really hope this is the day he really steps it up, fights for his tournament life, and can kind of keep whaz at bay for his sake. But whaz has every opportunity of bringing this one forward.
He certainly does as well. Effortless is known for being super aggressive. Don't really have a stop button in most cases. But you could say for whaz, it's all about having to control that aggression, having to adapt in some of his maps. Because I do feel like the adaptation in terms of whaz is a lot better in comparison, just due to the amount of experience he's had. But it's been a while. I'm not too sure how much whaz has grinded in terms of time. And I know he has for the last few weeks, but Effortless has been on and on throughout, the last couple of seasons.
Right. And some great opponents to kind of be working throughout those regular season matches, etc. So let's take a look at the picks and bans, because that's obviously a big part of this story. We could speculate all day, but our maps are going to be, looks like Veil, Exile, Keep, Ruins, and Awoken for a fifth and final map should we need it. Who wants to talk about our champ picks here?
I mean, I'm kind of looking at them all, glancing over, and I see nothing that pops out as unusual. Everything is incredibly meta, as you would expect, even later down the line. I think one of the ones that you're maybe not as used to seeing might be that Athena on Ruins of all maps. The slash being taken away, there is an element of Effortless. We know that he does like those high mobility. He does have multiple styles now, but I know that when we first saw him in Pro League a couple of years ago, actually, this time 2 years ago, who knew? He was always known for those high octane champions, and sometimes that could almost go against him. But there's been a lot of just player development, I think, in those 2 years. Everything else seems kind of standard to me. You know, we have the battle of the big bodies with Sorlag taken away.
Yeah.
Exile, again, nothing's unusual. Corrupted Keep, damage versus damage. Ruins, its utility and movement, and then Awoken, it's Nyx versus the Visor. I would normally be, I think, more used to seeing Effortless take the Nyx on that map, but it's kind of almost reversed in the final pick.
I must say, Effortless, he hates Scale, he hates it on Veil, and he's got both on the first map. So, whereas probably did that on purpose, don't get me wrong. But then again, he has banned the Sorlag. He might have actually banned the Sorlag maybe for later on in the series instead and just get out of the way now. But Scale is a real pain in the ass on Veil, and it's just so annoying to deal with, considering, you know, the narrow corridors and everything else in between, just to try and deal with it, and it's very, very tough. So it's not the best of first maps for Effortless, but we'll give him a lot of momentum. But he does have to kill, can use those pineapples in those kind of tight situations, and, you know, depending on what angle he actually holds. So it doesn't matter too much. And even on Awoken, like, it's quite a strong counter against the Nyx using that Visor, so be pretty happy about that. Banning the Doom's a common pick on Awoken anyway, but so far pretty standard, I would say. Both players do prefer their Ruins and Awoken. I'm not surprised neither player has actually banned that out to start with.
And of course, then that brings us to the big question, right? Looking at some of those later maps and champion matchups, I suppose there's a possibility we don't get there. Gentlemen, do you think that this is going to go the distance? Does it have the potential to?
It's a hard question to answer, because if Effortless is bringing that absolute A game, he could stay alive here. But I feel like my gut is telling me that whaz is the one that might be pushing on him. We might have our first player that's able to kind of overtake in this tournament, move on into the round of 16, because he's been playing so well in the practice. And there's a lot of confidence here. You can see he was the one that picked Exile, for example. There are some players here that have had to kind of revisit and get comfortable with these new maps again, that might be trying to avoid some of those maps. Clearly, that's not going to be the case here. And he's got some good champions that Effortless doesn't like fighting. So on paper, I think whaz could take this, but I think maybe a 3-1 is the predicted result for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. We'll go to a map 4 or 5. I do feel like for whaz, he has better adaptation, but it depends on how much he's been grinding as of late. Effortless, you know, has been in the Quake Pro the last couple of seasons. He's been always on the grind and always, you know, might be a bit more fresh and have a lot more experience now. And if he's about to maybe take this, but I can't really comprehend like who could win out of the two. It's going to be very, very tough. But definitely one of the closest matches of the day. I can't really say that because you saw Pasita versus Garpy earlier on. That was absolutely madness in itself. Yeah, great first season of the day.
I'll
but
take
this could be another
one of
map
those,
5.
Lethal. Yeah, I'm totally fine to get another matchup like that. Absolutely. I do think it has that potential, but we're going to find out here in just a moment as we get started. Catch up. Going to have you watching from the front row seats, and we'll return back to hear your thoughts on the matchup. I'm going to cast this one alongside Lethal, so we'll see you in a few. Catch up. Thank you for joining us. And Lethal, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, I guess, depending on where the world of viewers might be today, because they are tuning in from all around the globe. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not our normal Quake Sunday, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all day this week, our Quake Sunday. 3 days of Quake action. Excited as we're kicking things off. Haven't even hit the main tournament yet, and already have many things to be excited about.
Exactly. I normally wake up around this time anyway, so this is like perfect time for me to start with you, Wheat, to grow to get this series underway. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. When I saw like who we're going to be casting, I saw whaz versus Effortless. I thought this is going to be a fantastic way to start off, especially in the Americas region. Of course, Sid versus Davis coming up next is also going to be fantastic to watch. But these two is going to be very, very close. It's all about how long it's been since whaz has been, you know, he hasn't been competing for a while in Quake Champions due to him being relegated last year. So it has been tough for him, has been quite a while, but still has that adaptation, still has the experience over the course of the years, over time. But for him, it's just all about how he can control the aggression of Effortless. And I think for Effortless on his side, about his mental fortitude and and just keep himself as stable as possible, knowing that it's a best of 5. He's got to take one game at a time. And I don't feel like either player has a huge advantage to the champion picks, and that's maybe the first one with the scale on Vale, which is I don't think many people are a fan of that, but Kill's not bad counter to it either.
That's why I think you are spot on when you say one map at a time, right? Even Chad is commenting like, "Oh, I hope we don't get like a scale rage type situation," and like that just can't happen, especially in a relegation match here to get back or to stay in the QPL. But we are officially live. We're following through Waz's point of view in order to start. Our first map here is on Vale, and as it was so elegantly put, it's the battle of the heavies here, the big boys battling it out. So we see, wow, Waz starting things off with not one but 2 rails, almost hits that third for what wouldn't have been that first frag, but would have been a nice little start to the game. We do have Bull Rush coming out there more as a way to kind of get out of danger, and although Waz has hit some nice shots, he hasn't really been able to put or string anything together quite yet. But we're 39 seconds in. It's 0-0, still very early in what is going to be a potentially long series. So we're just going to have to wait it out and see how it's going to go. But I think, Lethal, both these players, they're here to give it their all.
Yeah, they certainly are indeed. Waz, he had the perspective, just to make sure to bull rush and get out of it earlier on, because that would have been a clean frag for Effortless. To stand with him, he had his rail out at the time. He's actually caught Effortless off guard. This ball is going to be huge for him. He actually just barely misses, and now he's going to come out with the MLG. Has the stack advantage, but can Effortless still stand by and take him down? No, he will not, but that was still quite close nonetheless. Now we can see what we can do next. Both items aren't going to be up for a while. Waz is just trying to recuperate as quickly as possible, knowing that the heavies come in the next 8 seconds, but it's a matter of what he wants to contest first. I think he's still going to continue on, just making sure he can recuperate from that last engagement. Not going to happen. Effortless does take him down, gets to heavy, but will he be able to get the Mega in time as well?
Yeah, and I mean, I did like the bull rush to secure the Mega. Was not really sure about Effortless engaging there, but he, stuck to his guns, came back, still answered the first frag, and then has followed up with the second one. And a nice little job there, kind of waiting for his opponent, heard the armor pick up there in the acid room, was able to pick up. Is he going to find another one? Bull rush coming through. He lets him go right past, trying to throw out some grenades. Unfortunately, losing the stack and getting railed on the way down to try to hit that heavy. 2-2. We got a tie game 2 minutes into this one, and this is definitely going to be a game starting in a high octane category.
Certainly is indeed. Some good rails there, taking down Effortless. Finally with the lead once more. Just looking to see where Effortless could be. Realizes that he did not spawn heavy. I think it was just inside the radius of that respawn, so he's decided to go all the way around. But Effortless does have the high advantage, but it's actually dropped down straight away. Okay, understandable, he's going for the heavy, but that wasn't the best time for it. Still comes out on top. That was huge for Effortless, considering the circumstance he put himself in. Good first rail, managed to hit the second. He's going to try and go for the third, which he does. Will he get the fourth? He does not need to, as the pineapple comes out 3 for 3, and a good pineapple to just add a bit of flair to that last frag.
It's very nice. Great use of those pineapples. Awesome rails as well. And then like, let's talk about that LG from Effortless so far, hitting a 51%. It seems to really be on point, and in a heavy matchup, like that's definitely a weapon you want to try to be optimizing as much as possible. So Effortless keeping this score close, having that 1 frag lead. But Waz definitely staying in this one, dominating the stack right now. We look at pickups, and it's pretty even across the board in both majors and in lights. And they're going to meet up here as Waz is in and out, realizes he doesn't have an invite to the party, and immediately gets out of there. LG battle once again, and Effortless staying on top. In fact, bumping that percentage of accuracy up even another percent. I have to say, his LG is looking really impressive, Lethal.
It really is. Oh, he drops down again, giving Effortless the advantage, but can he clean up? No, he does not, as Waz brings back another frag to the table. Only down by 1. It's still very early on. Needs to try and get away if he can, which he has been able to. Effortless may come at a different angle, or may just try and drop down, which he has done. Is taking a fair amount of damage once again, but Waz could get cleaned up here, but Effortless doesn't actually push. He decides to back away, prioritize the items, which is fair enough, as the Mega and Heavy are both up, but at the same time, he's given the giving Waz an opportunity to come back from this. Picks up the Mega, but with the Boris coming in, when he clean up with the shotgun, he's so weak. He has to try and get away, but Effortless is on the hunt. He smells blood in the water. I'm looking to see where he's going to come up next. Hits the first rail. He hit the second, though. He's just gone through the telly. And Waz, you could say, definitely got a jail free card as he comes in and now ties things up 5-all.
That was pretty impressive on both sides there. I really think that Effortless is saying, you know what, I know what I know what Scale can do, right? I know what the possibilities are in this map. He seems to be handling it very, very well, right? Combination of just like how he's moving, where he's positioning himself, but also the grenades coming out from Keel. Very, very nicely done. A huge shotgun blast into a bull rush hit, into a second shotgun blast to tie it back up. And those are those little moments where I'm sure will make you scale rage just a little bit, but Effortless should stick to his guns and what he is doing in this game. It seems to be working out pretty well. Waz is obviously going to be doing the same, but you know, you want to get overconfident having that scale bearer. You know, he feels powerful, feels like I could just run in here and do all the damage, but we've seen what can happen in those situations. We're tied up 6-6 halfway through this game, and I like how we're kicking this series off.
I certainly do indeed, as Effortless is going to be dropping down onto him, but is it going to be... Oh, dude, me, I was going to say, so close between the two. The Pineapple just barely misses Waz. Waz manages to get away, but Effortless is the one who's down on his luck. He's was extremely weak, but 6 minutes have passed, only a few minutes left remaining, and I haven't really seen any signs of Effortless becoming mentally unstable. Like, I've not seen him overextend. I've never seen him kind of force out a situation. The Boris comes out though, uses the rockets to do a little bit more damage, but we're about to clean him up. He does not, and Effortless comes up with a great vertical rail, and look at the stack he has. He could force out the situation once again, but Waz is more than prepared for that. He's only down by 1, but still needs an element of caution. Taking a fair amount of damage from these rockets. Still trying to get him with the LG. Picks up the Mega. And Effortless is trying to find a little bit of info where he's going to go. But he has to back down for now.
I am, you know, really kind of shocked that we have just the back and forth that we have, right? No player has truly been able to gain any level of control that has stopped the others in the track. And maybe, again, a heavy matchup. I'm not surprised to see this. Ooh, Effortless running away with only 8 points of health. He actually takes a really risky shot there, going for another rocket. And look at how like much he is exposing himself here, given the amount of health he had at the time. 33. He does hit a lot of tri-bolt damage. There are rail hits, and Waz does have the ability to tie this one back up. He's going to go in using that LG. He gets nailed with the Pineapple, and Waz barely escapes, but does so with the frag. Tied up 7-7. Looking for that follow-up here. Effortless can't hit the shot. Waz actually turns around. I cannot believe how low he is and what he's getting away with.
Oh, I don't know how he got around that corner. That was literally butt clenching just to try and get into that TP. Just to find a route away from Effortless. But this is looking good so far from Waz. He's backing away with those rockets. Good defensive rockets just to keep him at bay and do a tickle of damage there to let Effortless know that if he's going to push any further, he's going to be taking a huge... Well, even more of a chunk as he drops down to go for that heavy. It's just dropped, but he's already taken way too much from the LG. But look at the stack Effortless has now. Wait, this is going to be a little bit of trouble for Waz, but at the same time, Waz got to find out exactly where this is going to be. He's found him, still got the route out. It's gone 2 for 2. He's looking for the third, but not going to happen as the Mega is still up. He's looking to see if he can get another angle, which he does not. And Effortless can easily fight this back once again. Gets another clean frag onto Waz, now up by 2 with only 90 seconds left remaining.
Yeah, and I mean, at some point it felt like there was going to be a breakaway. I think Effortless, you know, probably sweating a little bit, but at this point, probably feeling more and more comfortable. Waz has spent more time in the danger zone than I think about any other competitor that I've seen in a while. Certainly nerves of steel for sure, but down by 2, it is pretty rough. You know, Effortless, harder champ to kind of chase, given the fact that he has those pineapples, and we've seen a few instances where the bull rushes come out, but the pineapples have kind of made the opponent hesitate. Now, Waz does swing in, steals away that last heavy, or the second to last heavy, before this match will conclude, but he is going to need to, you know, go on the chase there. There we have a nice rail coming out. Effortless going to put himself on the bottom level and just pitch a tent, camp here, build a campfire, call it good. You could see he's slowing this down. He knows that 2 frags in 30 seconds next to impossible here. And so he's going to try to make this as hard as he possibly can for whaz.
That was a great play from Effortless as well. He created an audio cue, making whaz think that he's dropped down towards that railgun room, but instead stopped in his tracks. And if he did get approached, then he would have gone up to jump pad. Has 7 seconds left, but it's going to be way too little too late, as you can see now, doesn't really need to do too much here. Only 1 frag difference finds him, but just a tad too late. And there we have it. Effortless does manage to win that by only 1 frag. We said it was going to be close, and even looking at it though, like Effortless has 1,000 more damage, only has 1 item more in control in comparison, as whaz was eating up a lot of those lights throughout the course of that game. But yeah, it's pretty much what we predicted it would.
The LG of Effortless needs to be given a little MVP award. You know, early on, especially in that first 5 minutes, there you're seeing. Actually, that was whaz on the first one. That was, I think, the only one that he had lost, because after that, once Effortless picked up that first frag and started following through, that's where we really started to see that LG actually kind of pick up and then remain fairly consistent throughout the matchup. So great job by Effortless kind of sticking to his game plan. whaz certainly did not make it easy, and I am excited for the next at least potential 2 maps, because whaz keeps it that close right there. Curious to see what can happen here in the upcoming matches. Our next map is going to be Exile, where whaz is going to be playing the Anarchy and Effortless is going to be playing on the Ranger. So a great way to kick off this matchup. Definitely close.
Yeah, neither player really showed any kind of overextension. Very calm, calculated plays. We saw Effortless during the later weeks of the Pro League, where he was playing a lot more methodical rather than just being hyper aggressive and just trying to rely on his aim more than anything else. And we know that Effortless is more of an open play. He does have a few weaknesses, but he's tightened those weaknesses ever so slightly coming into this final. And this is the perfect time for it, especially a player against whaz, who's no walkover at all. We talked about it before, where in scrims he had back and forth matches against Sygib and even Dahang. And even though against Rafa it was a little bit one-sided, which, let's be honest, is pretty normal and what people would expect. But against Sygib and Dahang, that's huge, and I'm sure Effortless has taken note of that.
Well, I mean, play to win. Everyone's playing for the W this weekend, especially here, when this could mean your life in the QPL or your return to the QPL in whaz's case. But we're moving on to Exile, and I gotta say, if Effortless can kind of keep that up, stay calm, collected, like you mentioned, take every single game, 1 game at a time. He's looking to position himself pretty good here. But whaz looked impressive in that game 1, so I don't think you can count him out quite yet. And we're going to have an early engagement right away, where Effortless is just going to make quick work of whaz with that nail gun. First 15 seconds, and he is on the board.
Yeah, he didn't use his inject either. Maybe he was hoping that he could get a bit more value out of it and use the inject after him taking him down. But you saw he got caught on that jump pad, which is a bit of a shame. Not the best of starts for him, but we'll see what happens in this next couple of minutes, as Effortless has picked up that Mega. Just wait to see what he's going to be up to, as both items aren't segregated at all, and Effortless is just coming in hot with that shotgun. He should be able to clean him up, but will whaz be able to get away? Just standing his ground to see if he does come over. Picks up the light. Effortless caught him with his trousers down there and extends his lead 2-0.
Yeah, caught him with his trousers down, indeed. In fact, I think whaz stuck around just a little bit too long on that one. Did get some nice damage in, but Effortless played it smart and played it, if there is such thing as offensive defense, that's basically what we saw Effortless do right there. And now he is sitting with the Mega. No armor, but 2 frags up. That gives you a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of freedom to extend yourself a little bit. Haven't seen anyone truly take control yet here on Exile, but that's kind of the dream, isn't it? Being able to control both sides and kind of forcing your opponent into the table scraps. And there we're going to see another orb come out. Doesn't do much, but the follow-up shotgun does an awful lot. Effortless limping away from that battle, but he's up 3-0.
whaz right now is playing towards Effortless's strengths, which is his combat skills and just straight up fights. This is not something you want to do against Effortless, because this is where he actually excels. So he needs to find another route on how he wants to take down Effortless. Just, keep his distance, hold that rocket area until he finds a weakness, even if it's stack or maybe the path which Effortless takes to try and get away, or even to try and control these items, and then see about what he wants to do afterwards. And Effortless with some great rails, but never mind, it doesn't matter, as whaz has actually brought back a couple of his own and comes through the telly and actually takes him down with a shotgun and gets the mega. So this is the, could say, comeback or potential comeback which whaz was looking for, just waiting to find out where Effortless could be, but catches him from behind. Good rocket, so still takes him out, as Effortless will be a bit peeved about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that happened in this last minute. Not only that, I mean, I think whaz sort of unintentionally baited Effortless there as that eject came out and then got tagged with the double rockets. But prior to that is kind of really interesting, because I feel like whaz needs to start adding in more mid to long range, rail hits. I think that's a good strategy. And Effortless was doing that, forcing whaz into that position, which then allowed whaz to get the frag. So if he kind of identifies and realizes that he could find himself easily kind of finding some control, I say easily, but you still got to hit those rail shots, in which he did in the last situation. But he goes in, steals that heavy away, and no armor, though, completely eliminated there. But again, continuing to hit these rails, and on the Anarchy, on Exile, I think that is going to be a winning strat here if he can keep that up.
You can see whaz just trying to control that aggression of Effortless. It's very tough, because he knows that if he lose even by the slightest margin any kind of duel, depending on what combat situation he places himself in, full well knows that Effortless is going to be coming in hot no matter what circumstance Effortless is in himself. So whaz is just trying to get a different rotation in, does find Effortless, doesn't get any rails, which doesn't matter too much, as both players are on a similar stack. As whaz now will have to give up the mega, may have to give up the heavy here, which he has done, but it depends on where Effortless is going to go. It does find him, and I'm not really too sure what happened. It seems like maybe a mouse or keyboard disconnect, or maybe just PC's just, I don't know what's, I don't know what's happening, Weep. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm not sure.
It wasn't the best time, was it? As he has left, he has completely disconnected, and I assume we'll just wait for him to come back and then find out what happens afterwards.
All right, well, we're gonna have Effortless just kind of chill over on the side. We'll find out what's going to happen here in just a moment. We are at about 4 minutes, 2-2, and an interesting matchup thus far. I want to talk a little bit about the different strategies that one can deploy here, right? There's obviously the desire to take full control, to be able to be hitting all the major items, completely denying them. Then you can, really start to try to deny some of the lights. But we talked a little bit about the exchange that happened around the heavy, in which Effortless was kind of using long-range rail shots to try to, peck away. During that time, whaz hit 3 rails that resulted in one of his frags. And I feel like prior to that, he was playing a much more offensive, kind of in-your-face approach to the map, which I don't know if that is going to really play out in your favor very, very often. I mean, on a light like Anarchy. So I would like to see him prioritize trying to sneak those rail shots in, and then going in for it, popping that object, whatever that might be. So we'll see if that's what is going to happen here. And we'll get word here in a moment exactly what is going to happen. But
yeah, I do feel like he had a good rail percentage anyway, even though he could have hit a few more, don't get me wrong, in terms of being able to, get round to it. But yeah, it was very tough indeed. He did let a few items go past him in terms of being able to contest it in any way, which is a little bit of a shame. But this is what I mean, though. With Effortless, if he even gets the tiniest of advantage in terms of stack, he will just be over-aggressive and just come on in. And we saw it a few times, but Effortless had to stand his ground, but whaz also had some great angles as well. You've got to see Exile like a very open blood run. Like, you've got the nail room where you decide on what rotation you want to make. Same with Exile, when you're on those top rocket kind of area, you decide what you want to do. But with Exile, it's a little bit different. There's a lot more you can do in terms of the TPs and the rotations you want to make. It's not as stale, which is don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic thing, but yeah, it's very, very difficult in terms of how you want to try and extend that lead over the course of time. You saw whaz was always having a height disadvantage on numerous occasions, did use the inject to full effect and did contest the heavy quite well on a number of occasions, but it was still very early on to tell, really. So I'm not really too sure whaz would have taken that, but we'll have to see if we go back into this second map.
Yeah, the other thing to point out is that Effortless hasn't really had an orb work for him too much. There was that escape orb there near, the 3.5, 4 minute mark. Every other orb kind of resulted in that awkward battle where it's just like neither player actually realizes where the other one is after a little orb exchange happens. That could also change things up, right? A nicely placed orb, one that just gives Effortless a better position on the map. And we are remaking the lobby. What's going to happen is we're going to start at the score line of 2-2, 4 minutes in, and then we'll play out the remaining map here on Exile. Should be jumping back into that in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, any of those orbs actually hit, and that's going to completely change what can happen there for Effortless. But we're going to be tied up here and going right back into it in just a moment.
Yeah, I don't think any player right now is going to be too annoyed coming into this match. I don't think either player had a huge advantage. Nothing noticeable anyway. They both had a very similar stack. Effortless just had the high ground. If you want to prepare for heavy, that was literally about it. So, I could be nitpicking here, but that's pretty much bad. I'm sure Effortless will probably say something about it. But yeah, it shouldn't really matter. It's all going to be about the spawns coming up next. Like I said, it is 2-0. It's going to be even Stevens going into this. I'm not too sure in terms of timer, if we're going to go by if it's going to be 6 or 7 minutes left, or we're just going to do a full 10-minute game again, carrying on with the score. But even if to score, it doesn't matter too much, but I've just been told it will be 6 minutes going into this, and it is currently 2-2 at the moment. So, a few minutes less, but it doesn't matter. At least we get back into it. Neither player is going to have the default win and then go into a third match. So at least we go back into it nonetheless.
Yeah, we're just asking viewers at home to do a little bit of math for on your head, just making sure you're staying sharp and on your toes. Quake is a brain game, as Cooler has been known to say before. So you've got to be a brain viewer, big brain viewer, all 5 heads. So we're going to be starting here in just a moment. Thanks for joining us. If you just are tuning in, maybe you're waking up or you found out about the stream a little bit late, we're actually on our 3rd relegation map. We're going to have another one after this. That's going to be Sib versus Davis. And then we're going to be going into the round of 16 where we go to best of 3 and we go into double elimination. But right now, these players are playing to either A, to stay in the QPL, or B, to join and or return, depending on who you are and where you've been before. So we're resuming the second game now of our first North America relegation matchup between whaz and Effortless. Thank you for joining us. And we are loading back in. So again, scoreline is 2-2 right now, so we can just say it's 0-0 because that's about the same thing. 6 minutes is what is going to be on this map to determine who is going to take it. Of course, Effortless won game 1 by 1 frag, 9-8, very close one. And this one is keeping that same stage warm. It is still tied up 2-2 or 0-0, however you look at it.
Yes, and it's indeed. And what I did like from that last game, even towards the end, I feel like whaz, he realised he was playing to Effortless's strengths with all the combat he had to deal with in a lot of those duels, and managed to adapt and keep his distance. And we'd like to see more of that now. Effortless did realise, so it might have actually done him a bit of a favour, knowing that he can take a little bit of a break and realise what he needs to do against whaz in these final 6 minutes. So yeah, like you rightly said, it's currently 2-2, but that doesn't really mean anything. It is technically a draw, so it's just going to be up to 6 minutes instead of 10, and then whoever comes out on top will be the winner, and then that'll be the map in their hands. So we're starting off with whaz, still got the inject in his back pocket if he ever needs to use it. Has just picked up the rockets and just looking to see where he could be. Does find him and just has to back away ever so slightly, as now both items are going to be coming up very shortly. He's back away once again, but it looks like Effortless is going for blood here, as he does manage to pick up the heavy and is actually still taking a fair amount of damage as whaz somehow gets away with that.
Oh, Effortless with the great rail as whaz coming around the corner with that rocket launcher, thinking maybe I've got a shot, but no armor at all. And the rail is going to get the deed done. Effortless now on the board with another frag, and he continues to hit these very nice rails in situations where whaz really cannot respond, right? Those are the best kinds of rails. You're coming out of a teleporter, you nail it, and then you run around the corner. whaz hitting a little bit of tri-bolt there on Effortless, but Effortless is looking good on his stack. 100, 123, gets hit with a couple of rockets, pulls out the LG though, another orb that doesn't really do much. whaz is going to chase, but he is low, and whaz really putting himself out there. He's got to be so careful. Effortless though, 1 point of health, and he fakes through the teleporter, completely jebaited, gets the frag as whaz turns out and realizes that his opponent was behind him. Shotgun blast to the back. Effortless up by 2.
As if that happened as well. That was literally whaz's but you can see his afterblood managed to recuperate, get his revenge, but still 1 frag behind, and he's actually directly underneath, and he just stood his ground. I don't know if he got away with that, but not for much longer. Already 2 minutes in. 2-2 now, and you can see whaz got a very clean kill, which means he can re-engage once again with all the weapons in his arsenal as he sees fit. And's picked up the heavy. Mega is up, mind you. Going to go straight for it, but he's going to get it uncontested, which is understandable considering the scenario which Effortless is in.
Yeah, and I mean, is this a moment where whaz says, all right, well, my stack is awesome. I should just kind of go nuts here. Of course, he gets hit by a rocket. The orb comes out, and Effortless, I gotta say, not really getting a passing grade with that orb so far. It's actually put him in more danger than it has helped him get frags. And we've got whaz, who is just kind of on a tear at this point, and has certainly been dominating. We mentioned control earlier, and this is the closest I think either player has come to having some level of control. He's going to have an opportunity to scoop up that next heavy, but another awkward situation is both players run through that doorway, a couple rockets hit, and then a rail. Effortless very, very low. He's going to head over to that heavy, and he gets tagged with a rocket as he looks up. whaz taking now another frag for the lead.
And he was so patient going for that heavy. He knew that he still had a few seconds to spare, and even if he had to, he just wanted to get as much value as possible by not taking too much damage, so that if he does have to re-engage straight afterwards, he can and then get another clean frag. Sadly for him, it did not happen, but it does not matter because, as you can see from the score, up by 3 frags, still got 2.5 minutes left. So Effortless needs to do something quick here if he wants to stay in this matchup or keep it as competitive as possible, as already just having to stand his ground, has got de-inject once again. And now just trying to find another angle onto Effortless. Hits the first rail, but actually comes straight through, hits the second, even if he didn't expect it. Good clean frag again from whaz, but you got to remember now, Heavy's up in the next 15 seconds, but it's going to prioritize the lights first, as it's going to be a little bit of a while yet until that does happen. Oh, good damage from the rocket and the combo from the rail. whaz is looking really hot in this matchup.
And technically 2 minutes remaining, and whaz has certainly increased that lead by quite a bit. Not only having kind of overall control, but hitting some very, very nice shots in the process. Misses that rail versus Effortless, but does pick up that mega. Has a good idea where Effortless is, and it's just going to very patiently look for an opportunity to attack. There he does see it, rocket fired out. Both of them miss as they pass like 2 ships in the night. Another orb coming out that does not much of anything, but very, very low. whaz still sticking his neck out there. Very, very risky, but I got to admit, Lethal, I kind of like risky play in Quake. So although I might sit here and be like, whaz, what are you doing? I will love to watch that all day long.
Yeah, same as me, really. And whaz doesn't really need to do too much now. 5 frags needed in the next minute, but let's be real, it's going to be almost mathematically impossible. whaz is just trying to recuperate, rely on those audio cues to see where Effortless is, and just stand his ground, keep his distance depending on where Effortless is, and he's doing a great job of that so far. He's hit the first rail, misses the second, somehow missed the third there. That was very tight indeed, but good rocket, good second rocket as well, and that's going to be done and dusted. As whaz is going to take that one, is actually going to tie things up here in the series.
It is well, about 30 seconds remaining here, And I think whaz has pretty much got this one in the bag. We're going to see what happens here in the final moments, as whaz certainly, looks like that's done then. All right. As we're going to just have a little gauntlet challenge potentially here at Heavy. But so we're going to see our second map go to whaz as GG is called. And here we are. I think the official score of that one is going to end up being 10-5. We got to check with the scorekeepers. They say they're the scorekeepers like, yes, you can do some simple math. Good for you. Which means we're tied 1 apiece. This kind of resets the best of 5 to a best of 3. We're moving on to Corrupt to Keep next, where whaz will be playing as BJ and Effortless will be playing as DK. And I think, again, going back to something you said, really important, Lethal, is that you've got to take every single game as its own little series. Yeah, there was a disconnect. Yeah, there was kind of not so standard of a game there in terms of how that ended. But you've got to just reset, pick yourself up, and move on to the next one. That's exactly what both these players need to do here.
Yeah, Effortless's aim skill was really hot at the start of the match. It's just, it's high at the end of, beginning of every single match. And I think that's kind of what I said literally just before the second game started, was just the fact that whaz has got to be a bit more cautious on how Effortless is going to approach this at the very beginning. Could work in his favour. And it did, got the first couple of frags, but whaz, again, like I mentioned before, with all the experience he's had in Quake, has adapted and realised what he needs to do in order to just work around how Effortless is played. And, we saw a lot more key elements of that compared to that first game. The first game is a little bit more difficult on Veils, especially with those champion picks, but this time around it really was, you kind of felt like whaz a lot more comfortable in comparison. So we could see it in the third map as well, and Effortless is probably, thinking to himself a little bit like, what can he do here in order to avoid this adaptation from whaz? Because I do feel like he can adapt better instead of reading his opponent, but Effortless does rely more on that aggression and, of course, his aim skill just to get himself by on a lot of those occasions. So we'll have to see what happens in this next matchup.
Yeah, also just for clarification, because, it's okay if you want to talk about players and be critical, but that was not an Effortless early 4-minute rage quit. That was not what happened there. We restarted that game. There was 6 minutes left of official time. That was a viable stop to the match. So please give Effortless the respect that he definitely deserves in that one. That was not a rage quit, but now we're resetting, going on to map 3. We're tied 1 game apiece, and we're going to be looking through the eyes of whaz, kicking things off, immediately popping that dual wield just in case this matchup started in a similar way to some of the other matchups, but nothing actually happened there. I like that, though. I like the way that whaz is thinking here. I'm expecting this one to be another high-action game, and that's what we've got already.
Yeah, I can't really see this being a game of chess in comparison to a standard calculated matchup on Corrupt to Keep. But whaz, though, hasn't really got an LG to use. Still just relying on that super nail gun. But even then, let's see what he's up to next. Does have a similar stack, which he can't really complain. So he's got to really be decisive on how he wants to approach parts of this map. He can't really be too open. Maybe just hang around in that red room until he can make the rotation, what Effortless has done. And great tri-bolt shots there. Sorry, 77 damage from that last one. Is to be pushing in with that dual wield, but it's going to just bide his time, just wait for that flame strike to deteriorate and actually flank round anyway. Will he want to clean him up? No, he does not. Effortless with the LG once again, and I said it before, but whaz didn't have an LG to use, had to rely on that plasma rifle, and of course using those rockets later on. Maybe a little bit skeptical what he wanted to do, but it does pick up the heavies, taking a fair amount of damage, but good rockets here from whaz, keeping Effortless at bay, and there we have it. Finally gets the LG. 90 seconds has passed and has tied things up.
That was a rough corner to be stuck in when your opponent's fully stacked with rockets. As we have another hit there, as Effortless is going to actually pick up the frag on that one, 2-1. So the Flames did do some damage there, but whaz actually coming back and tying this up yet again, 2-2. Both players kind of standing their ground and willing to go into battle. Neither really has grabbed control. I like Effortless using this long-range machine gun to just tick down There, that LG is in the hands of whaz now, so he's got to be feeling a little bit better about that. But both players will just kind of back up to their respective corners. Wait to fight to get actually double wheeled is hit, and there's a suicide. I'm not even sure if what that was actually from, but that is unfortunate. Effortless going down, and now whaz takes the lead from an unfortunate forced error coming out of Effortless.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a shame there, but the LG was clean.
Yeah,
from what we saw. But heavy machine gun is so important in this matchup, especially if you want to get a cleaner kill or get a little bit more value so that you can continue with the stack you have and then push in for the next spawn cycle. Even then though, whaz has some great rockets over the last few minutes, and he's got a huge stack to work with, so he can just push in as he sees fit. But we know what kind of a player he is. He wants to take a huge amount of damage in the process. This one on that heavy machine gun again, just out of LG range now finally, and Effortless has realised that has to wait for him to make that push, but at the same time, how can he? Because he wanted to show himself to try and contest that Mega, which he could not. Good LG there from whaz, now going on for the flank, but Effortless is actually pulled all the way back, but whaz has read it. He's picked up the light and the process is eating it just to keep him low, and again, good stuff there from whaz, increasing his lead. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult now for Effortless to come back in this, especially if he goes over the top. Taking a lot of damage from the LG, and it's not looking too good for Effortless as he takes a lot of damage from the rockets, and now whaz has picked up that Mega.
There, again, I want to kind of point out some of the risks that whaz is taking. Like a Quake does have an element of risk, right? Sometimes taking those risks will allow you to pull ahead. In this case, whaz has been able to get quite a few frags, but he could have gone for that heavy and just secured complete control, but he decided to swing back around, stole away the light, and ended up getting the frag and the heavy. Risk taken and reward given. whaz up by 4 frags as we're about to hit the halfway point. And I certainly like the pace that he's sort of forcing on to Effortless. Effortless not really able to kind of bring this together. And even in those situations where trying to full on DPS down, using the flame strike, it hasn't really worked out for him yet. whaz has kept himself out of danger to where that could happen. And unfortunately, the only one who has really experienced the burn of it is Effortless himself.
He's just using the dual wards at the perfect moments, and sadly for Effortless, he needs to try and bait out that dual ward, but he has not. He's just letting him play to his strengths once again and trying to back away. These rockets are not hitting, and he's barely taken any damage. Once he's picked up that heavy, you can see, yeah, I literally just mentioned that as well in terms of not taking any damage from those rockets, and Effortless was a little bit surprised about that, but still 6 frags up. Things are starting to spiral out of control here, as already using that heavy machine gun to full effect, keeping Effortless at bay. And what can he do? Not really too much. Using that duel again, clean LG, and yeah, deep trouble now for Effortless. As he now found him in the red room on the spawn. Good nail gun, but not going to be enough. Is now whaz is up 9-1 with only just over 4 minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, now that he has that LG in hand, using that dual wield quite a bit, really getting some just solid streams against his opponent. And this 8 frag lead, not impossible, but it is just building and building and building. And unfortunately, Effortless is not finding much in terms of a solution to kind of break through this defense and offense that whaz is serving up here on this map. More rockets coming out. That was a great little string of damage, but the fadeaway rocket from whaz to secure yet another frag. 9 frag lead with less than 4 minutes left to go.
whaz is looking better than he did last season, back when he got relegated in stage 2. He seems to have worked on a lot of the mistakes he had to rectify, just managed to survive that last engagement. And yeah, I think it's safe to say now that Effortless won't be able to come back in this second map unless he gets full map control, item segregation, and then be able to work a miracle. But even then, it's going to be extremely tough afterwards, as whaz's aim has just been extremely good defensive rockets, great LG, especially with the tracking, great rail early on in that first map as well. But now whaz is just literally just standing his ground, let Effortless come to him every single time and just putting himself in great positions, making sure that every single time Effortless does approach him, he's going to take a fair amount of damage. And a lot of these narrow situations or these narrow pathways, which whaz is just trapping him in terms of choke points. And again, whaz, great timing as well, just keeping his items in check. And speaking of items, you can see there whaz has taken 19 items to the 10 of Effortless in this game.
Yeah, that's rough, especially we consider how much effort that Effortless has to put into just even securing a single frag or doing quite a bit of damage. I mean, it makes up any player wonder, how am I going to break this threshold or frag differential that I have? whaz is just kind of, I think, picked the perfect combination for himself in terms of how he's going to play this, and then has stuck to his guns. 12-1 now, less than 2 minutes left to go, and whaz has certainly left a pretty substantial mark here on Corrupted Keep.
Yeah, I'm really worried for the rest of his series, depending on how Effortless can turn this around. 72 damage from that last rocket. Just keeping himself away, doesn't want to try and force anything because, well, let's be honest, getting 11 frags in 90 seconds can be tough in itself. Now 12 required, but yeah, he's going to be taken down from fire.
So dramatic, that death. Oh my goodness.
I was just thinking that as well. And yeah, Effortless gets another frag there. But yeah, like we said before, it's definitely going to be whaz's map to take. And the question is going to be, what can Effortless do to not just recover, but at the same time just think about what he wants to do next. What's his plan of action? Because whaz, not only has he got great aim skill, but he's just adapting to everything that Effortless has done so far in this series.
Yeah, I mean, 14-3 now. I liked Effortless. You know, he really gave it his all there off the spawn. GGs are going to be called, but not before Effortless didn't, you know, get a frag and then have a follow-up one. Of course, he burned BJ alive and does get a second one there, but the frag differential still 10 frags, which means that whaz is going to find himself in a basically game set match potential possibility here, and a re-invite to QPL if he were to take map number 4, which will be going on to Ruins, and that's going to be that Athena Ison game, so we'll certainly make for an interesting one. But whaz now finds himself up 2-1 in this best of 5 to determine who will maybe stay in QPL and who might be returning.
Yes, and he will do indeed. 15-4. That's a heavy defeat there. And well played from whaz. And just take a look at the damage. There's not really too much difference there. Just about 275 damage, something like that. And to be fair, like Effortless did try and force a lot of those engagements, but then again, it's like I said before, whaz had all the item control, and Effortless did try to contest most of them, did lose out on a lot of those fights, but yeah, it was very, very tough. It just things just spiraled out of control, and Corrupted Keep can play like that. I thought Effortless would be the one to, like, this map could work in his favor in comparison to some of the other maps, but I was massively wrong to think that. But I must say that whaz has really impressed me so far. It's definitely the best he's been for a very long time. And we talked about it earlier before the series even begun with his scrim results, saying that he's been having back and forth matches against Saigon, even against Dahang, and that shows a lot of fortitude coming into this, knowing that he's got a lot of momentum in his favor. He's going to be feeling confident knowing that he's been putting on great performances against some of the best players in the Americas region. And you can see they're looking at 36% LG against the 34% from Effortless, but it's all about the item control. There are 25 items in control in favor of whaz. He's going to be very pleased about that. It's only one map away now for qualifying.
Yeah, that's got to, I mean, be a very comfortable spot for whaz to be in. And this is that moment where Effortless needs to really tap into that experience that he's gained over the past few stages, you know, competing in these stage finals, and understanding that, like, this game is not over until, you know, that final buzzer buzzes. And in this situation, right, it's tough. You're down by a game. You realize that if your opponent wins this next game, that could mean your life in QPL. it makes for a stressful situation, and you need to be able to push all that stuff out and play like it is, your life depends on it, which in this case it quite literally does in some way, shape, or form. So Ruins, now this one, predictions are up. People are like, how can I predict? I don't know who the champions are going to be. I'll tell you right now. Whaz is going to be on the Athena, and Effortless is going to be on the Ison for this next map, Ruins. So this is potentially set point, game point for Whaz here. If he wins this, he will be inducted back into the QPL. So it would be, I think, a heavy hit, obviously, for Effortless, who's been a staple in the NA region. Still has a chance to bring it back, but it's going to take a win on 2 maps to do that.
Yeah, it certainly will. Just talking about the maps, obviously Ruins is going to be the next map, and if it does go to a 5th map, which it could, considering what we've seen so far, maybe that last map was, that was a one-off. We'll probably forget about that one. I'm sure Effortless is going to try and forget about that one anyway. But in terms of maps, Ruins is next, and then it will be Awoken if it goes to map number 5. There's not really any kind of advantage for both these players, as both of them do enjoy. I think it's kind of their go-to maps, really, in terms of what their favorite is or what they're strongest on statistically. So nothing really to complain about there. But with the Athena as well, it's a great pick on Ruins. We've seen a lot more often over the last 8 weeks in the Quake Pro League. And it's nice to see, really, because we know that she used to be definitely the go-to champion on maps like Blood Covenant, but Ruins seems to be the go-to one as well on the odd occasion here and there. So I'm curious to see if Whaz can return to the QPL. It's been a very long time indeed, and Effortless has been there. I think he's been there almost since the beginning. I can't remember from the top of my head, but it will be a real shame otherwise. But this is a map I feel like Whaz could end the series on, but if he does not, I feel like Effortless is going to be very happy with the 5th map, because that is his best map on Awoken. Even though he hasn't played it that much this season, or this stage rather, it's definitely one of his go-to statistically again.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about Athena, we are about to start this up. I mean, obviously, Athena kind of been a staple in Deep Embrace and Awoken, so I'm curious to see. I mean, we haven't really gotten to see Whaz's Athena, nor on Ruin, so very, very excited to see how this is going to play out. Now, Effortless spawned near the Heavy. Whaz got himself the Mega, already finds the turret in the corner. 2 rockets to displace that. Good game is out of here. Immediately, we're going to see that grapple to escape, and there you go. We got a little preview to how into the mind of Whaz and how he may be using Athena more for positional advantage here. And I like that. Control can be huge on Ruins if it can be achieved. However, we see the LG coming out from Effortless, definitely putting some damage out there. Big rocket from around the corner. Not enough to finish him off, though. And Effortless with the return rail. He's really low and about to die, but he does get on the board with that first frag.
That was so close, as Effortless now just flanking round or just pretending to keep Whaz guessing here, but that was very tight, as it looks like Whaz is in for the kill. Ties it up 1-1, and both items aren't really that segregated as of yet, as Whaz looks like he may prioritise the Heavy, but it's taken a lot of damage from those last 2 rockets. Needs to get away, and will he be able to? Great LG, as they actually tie things up. I'm gobsmacked at the... Oh, God, I can't believe they actually managed to trade that out, considering those 2 rockets from Effortless as well. And now he's going to get the Mega, and the Heavy's already been picked up as well.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was really worried for Effortless there because, Whaz spawns right in a great spot to pick up that Heavy. I think that Effortless went for it too, opened up a very small window for Whaz to potentially take both of those major items, but Effortless did double back. I think he realized what was happening, picked up that frag. Now we're tied 2-2, 2 minutes into this game. I like what I'm seeing so far. Not a matchup that we have seen a lot of times. So we're getting a little bit of newness here on Ruins, which I'm all for. But rails across the Mega area back and forth, and kind of had a reset, if you will, since those last pickups. And we'll see what happens on the battles leading to the next one. A couple of missed rails happening there. Effortless, unfortunately, can't follow up with another one, and does see his opponent on the stairs going down to that Heavy. Heavy's picked up. Will then move over to the Mega. Now, will he put any time out there? Actually throws the turret out, gets some early LG damage, picks up that Mega in the middle of the fight. whaz, though, sticking to his guns, keeping that pressure on. Effortless, no armor, but does manage to get away from there clean.
Oh, I don't think he's going to be able to survive this one. He's actually just stood still and just let him get taken down. I'm quite surprised there. It's Effortless now down by that one frag. And I must say, he's not really using that turret to at least try and defend himself for when he contests the heavy. He's been using it just to try and feed himself information around that rail or LG area. And look at this, whaz has got the flank onto Effortless. He's actually pretending to go up to jump the first time round, but will he be able to clean up? It's so close, it's so weak, and manages to finish him off with 30 HP left remaining. Knows that the heavies come up in the next few seconds, but waiting to feed himself information once again. Oh, that was a fantastic rail there from Effortless to stop him from grabbing the heavy, and that could be an important turning point here to turn things around in this matchup. It was looking very bleak weak, but now there's some signs of life from Effortless.
That was a huge rail. He had that notion. The sixth sense was firing off. He knew where his opponent was. Oh, missed grapple. Huge opportunity. Effortless is like, where did she go? whaz went up in the air, and what comes up must come down. He falls, and we're tied now 4-4 as Effortless is able to bring this back. Now using the turret to block that entrance into the heavy while picking it up. Does have a real good opportunity to grit this Mega, but will he get it? Yes, forces his opponent down. Mega spawns. Effortless is like, hey, I've got a full house here, and let's rock it. And whaz now running for his life. Effortless, this is the time to attack, to try to take that lead back. I know there's been a little bit of frustration in some of the battles that he's had here early on in this one. Here's his turret, get a couple of hits off, immediately goes down. LG comes out, huge LG damages, finishes up with that shotgun, and Effortless stays alive in this battle, and he needed it badly.
Oh, Effortless is just feeling himself right now, isn't he? The momentum's heavily in his favor. I think he's gone from feeling like he could be out of the QPL just due to the fact that the last few engagements has just not worked in his favor at all. You could see, I wouldn't say negativity, but you could see it a little bit flustered and, just getting a bit annoyed in a lot of the situations he puts himself in. But after those two crucial frags, but the one being that rail to try and contest that heavy, has definitely changed his mindset massively, and now he's up by 2 frags. Look at the tracking and the LG, then the rail straight afterwards. And this is why I've said it time and time again. Now whaz has to try and control this aggression from Effortless, but how can you with the aim skill we've seen from Effortless? Just barging in, and really you shouldn't progress through the TP like that just to try and bag that frag, because whaz was at the advantage, but lucky for him, whaz missed, didn't expect it. whaz finally cleans it up, but at what cost? Now down by 3 frags, but it does have the mobility of the Athena with that grapple hook. So still got plenty of time left.
This is what I call the self-deprecation strat, where you actually chat what your rail percentage is. Earlier, Effortless was like 1 of 16. And then it was like at that point that he was like, enough, I'm turning this around, I'm pulling the LG out. Then he started hitting his rails, and he went from 1 to 16, now 5 to 26. He's bumped that up hugely. But you know what? Whatever it takes, that's what you've got to do. Turret also doing a little bit of work. And a little bit of the job for Effortless. And now we're going to have a fight here in Mega. Huge LG as whaz is going for that Mega, thinking that might be his ticket to trying to bring this one back. Unfortunately, it is not. Nice vertical rail. We're going to have that heavy up here in just a moment. whaz trying to make a dance around the column in order to grab it, but it does not happen. And Effortless picks this up, and he's looking really nice to try to claim this chapter as his own and forces to a 5th and final game. Another shotgun or LG to shotgun combo, and he does manage to find it coming through that teleporter. 5 to 11, and Effortless is starting to look like he's on fire.
When Effortless called up 1 out of 16, I was like, oh no, it started. I was like, please, this is the one time you don't want to become slightly unstable in terms of mentality in this matchup. But yeah, like we've already said, that one crucial rail has just changed his thought process and just hammering away at whaz. 11 to 5. I don't really know what else whaz can do here. And it looks like Effortless is just gonna back away for now, but whaz is looking to try and clean up Effortless, which he does. Only problem is, though, he hasn't really got a great stack to work with after that last engagement. But 2.5 minutes left. It's definitely doable, but he needs to try and get this item control, which he does not. Effortless picks up the heavy, and now making matters worse for whaz.
I mean, at this point, right, Effortless has a lot of options. I think he can remain as kind of offensive as he has been in the last few minutes, but he could also revert into a completely defensive mode as well. Yes, Athena has those grapples, does give her a little bit more momentum and speed to be able to go around the map, but at this point, right, that is a pretty hefty 8-frag lead for Effortless. Looks like we will be going on to a 5th and final map, and I think that's what the people want. That's what the fans want. They want to see it go all the way. Give us everything that you've got, players. And Effortless doing the dance once again, missing that rail, unfortunately. But again, he is just biding his time. He sees that hefty lead and knows that he's got this one in the bag.
Yeah, he certainly does indeed. I'm sure whaz is just thinking about what he needs to do next, and I've mentioned it before that the last map will be on Awoken. Even though Effortless has not really played it in the QPL that much this stage, it's still statistically one of his better maps, or one of his go-to maps anyway. Probably because of the fact that he's actually, maybe some of his opponents have banned it out quite a few times and a number of occasions over the previous weeks, but it's gonna be pretty pleased knowing that it will be, could be the map which may secure his spot in the QPL. And Effortless now will be up 15-7. But I must say though, whaz is also pretty good on Awoken, so I think it's going to be a very, very tough way to close out the series for both of these players, and very curious on how the outcome is going to come, as still 15-7. Effortless just trying to stay alive, which she will not. 15-8, 20 seconds left. And yeah, we are going to go to map number 5 in the series.
Yeah, that float, that was nice. I think when the song Wind Beneath My Wings came out, they did not really mean for it to be applied to being held up in the air by an LG doing over 200 damage and then being cleaned up with the rail. That was very, very nice. Add that to the sick frag list of QuakeCon 2021, and there it is, 15-9 as Effortless brings it back, forces us to go to a 5th map. Again, going back to the theme, Lethal, of you got to take this one game at a time. It's exactly what Effortless did. I feel that's what whaz has been doing this whole game, but now all 4 of those maps almost don't matter. This becomes a best of 1. The winner of this next map, which is going to be on Awoken, whaz playing Nyx, Effortless playing Visor, is going to determine who's in QPL, who's out of QPL, and we are going to that 5th and final map.
No one so far has actually qualified for the QPL from challenges yet, but whaz definitely showing the potential that he could do. The last map for him is probably a write-off, like how Effortless felt in that Corrupted Keep game earlier on. And this is how close it is, 103 damage between the two. Effortless had a lot more item control. His rail wasn't great, let's be real. There's a lot of occasions where he had the angles, but just missed a fair few shots. And yeah, it happens to the best of us sometimes. It really, really does. As whaz, you could see there, he actually relied on it quite a lot. And I still feel sorry for him. He damn well knows that that one grapple hook to the heavy where Effortless hit that shot, hit a lot of things to, you know, help Effortless just realign what he wants to do going into this matchup. And now he's going feeling very, very confident. And we said it before, whaz, it's been a while for him since Season 1, Stage 2, where he was last in the QPL, and he wants to try and make that return. And can he do it? He definitely has the potential. We've seen a lot of that from him, but he needs to shut him down. He needs to control that aggression, because so far you could see that he hasn't been able to, probably due to the fact that Effortless's aim has improved a lot over the last couple maps.
I'm very excited. This one comes down to this fifth and final map. I mean, certainly means that the nerves level of this one is going to be at an all-time high for the players. Saw a question in chat. No, these are the relegation games, so these are best of 5. It is single elimination. Once we move on to the round of 16, which will be happening after our next NA relegation matchup, that includes games like Dehang versus Cooler and Base versus Chain. At that point, it's best of 3, but it's double elimination. So no losing, like the winner or loser of, the loser of that game is not immediately out of it. This is just for the relegation matches that we are in right now. But Lethal, we said that this one could go the distance. I certainly believe that the Quake fans out there are happy that it has. And now it's time to put all of your passion into which player that you hope to win this one. Is it whaz, who would be making a return to the QPL, or is it Effortless, who is still trying to secure his spot so he can keep his tenure in the QPL?
I'm just glad I haven't started my day with a 3-0. This is exactly what we all wanted to see, and I'm curious to see what the chat thinks as well in terms of who's going to take this last map. I said it before, statistically, and how Effortless has played so far on Awoken is one of his better maps. But whaz, from what I've seen from scrims, he's done very well. He's had a respectable score against Rafa on this map. He's, I think he beat Cygib on this as well. I'm not really too sure. It's been a while since I watched his stream to see what the scores were. But it's like I said, it's been very back and forth and against a lot of the opponents he's been playing against in the upper echelon, you could say, in the Americas region. And it's very tough to call. Don't get me wrong, Effortless may have had the momentum in that map, but it's all died down now. He's had a few minutes break to kind of realise what he wants to do in this next matchup. But you've got to remember, whaz has to be extremely cautious with how Effortless plays at the very beginning of this map, because he is very aggressive. His aim is looking much better from what we saw in that matchup on Corrupt to Keep. And this is where we're going to see who's going to secure their spot in the QPL in this best of 5. It is going to be map number 5 on Awoken. We'll be starting off from whaz's POV to see. It's been a while for him since he's been in the QPL. Let's see if he can jump back into it and see if he can secure that spot.
Yep. And, you know, there's a lot that can happen in this matchup. I mean, whaz with a little bit of escape, Effortless with the information. How will that play out here, as this map will determine who's in and who is out? And I'm excited to see how this one is going to play off. whaz immediately not really, you know, not going to play games, hitting that ghost walk right away. Wow, direct rocket, a second one as well. Narrowly avoids that rail, but I can't believe that Effortless actually leaned over the side for that one. whaz taking advantage, and whaz has consistently been doing that throughout this series. He's putting himself out there. He's taking those risks because, you know, what does he have to lose? Not in the QPL right now. Unbelievable rail on the follow-up to that one now. whaz in the first minute of this final map up by 2.
Oh, this is not good at all. The momentum is definitely in whaz's favour, not due to the scoreline, but just due to the fact that Effortless hit those 2 rails, whaz with those 2 directs, and cleaned him up with the LG for that first frag. It's extremely tough, but whaz now just keeping things calm and collected so far. Good first rail. Will he hit the second? No, he does not, because he's trying to dodge his way out of those nails, but will he be able to hit the second? Oh, he does! 3-0! In favour of whaz. And yeah, this is where Effortless needs to try and stabilise, try and recuperate, get all the weapons in his arsenal again, and try and contest these items. But the rails again from whaz, just looking top notch.
I think you got to respect those rails. You know, that's... I mean, I get it, right? I'm the one sitting over here like, take risks, it's good, it helps you win in these games, important situations. But I mean, clearly Effortless just kind of firing away with the nails, and left himself open for that one. whaz up by 3, and you know, so you got to take those risks, but you got to balance it as well, right? And I think that Effortless kind of using information as best he can. It's weird though, having the piercing sight, but then also the ghost walk kind of up against it. Trapped into the corner now. LG comes out. whaz is going to add another frag to the scoreboard. 4-0, 2.5 minutes in, and looking good for the contender.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried now for Effortless. He's becoming quite predictable, and whaz is just realizing that, just standing his ground, waiting for him to pop out first and get that first shot every single time, and it's just working out for him perfectly. Don't get me wrong, whaz is a good counter for the Knicks, depending on how and when you use that piercing sight. And now Effortless has backed away in terms of item control. Still early days, but whaz has 6 items, and Effortless has also picked up 6, but 66% rail accuracy here for whaz. He's been hitting some really important rails, some clutch ones to say the least. And now look at the stack advantage too. Effortless needs to get away, wants to go for that light, does get away with it, now needs to try and find another light to his name. As now whaz will be standing his ground, waiting for that heavy. I'm interested to see what Effortless's plan of action is going to be for the next couple of minutes.
I mean, I like that he slowed it down a little bit. There we see the Ghost Walk popped after a rail actually misses. That gives a good opportunity for Effortless to kind of open up the door a little bit. He's already used the piercing sight there. He hits a nice rail. And whaz is just going to disengage as we hit the 4-minute mark. Unfortunately, Effortless not able to really hit those shots that would be making a huge difference in this matchup there. whaz returns one of his own and a second one as well. Effortless just not able to find that ground that he wants. And unfortunately, rail has not really been doing justice for him here. So about halfway through this matchup, still very early, still a lot of this map to be played out. I like that Effortless has slowed it down a little bit. Unfortunately, being able to slow it down and then hitting those shots to open up windows of opportunity, that's not what he's been able to do yet.
This is worrying now for Effortless, as whaz has taken this really strong methodical approach on this map, but he's got the mechanics and aim to back it up. He's going to go for the third. He does not, but he's already done a huge amount of damage here. Gone for another, and looks like it's going to be pushing all the way in. And there we have it. whaz adding another frag to the tally. Up 5-0. Got 5 minutes left, and if whaz continues to play like this, then things are going to be looking very bleak here for Effortless. His time is running out. Now up to 6. And Effortless's days could be numbered here in the QPL.
They could be. And needs to really start turning it around here. Does hit a rail. whaz low. whaz though sticking his neck out here. This is an opportunity. He still manages to get the damage off. Effortless. Oh, jumps right over that rail coming out from whaz. And it's amazing how many low health frags whaz has been able to pull out. And it's got to be surprising for their opponents too, right? It's not something that we normally see, but when you've got a 6 frag lead, again, you can stretch yourself out a little bit more than you might normally do that. Big direct rocket followed by a second follow-up, 7-0. And will this be a lucky number of frags for whaz? He's already kind of put a definitive statement out there here on Awoken, and he's got 4 minutes left to sign it off. And there's the Ghost Walk. He's just going to chase down, hits the rail coming out of it. The heavy is up and has been picked up by Effortless, but look at the work that whaz is putting in here.
It's all about, or all being really, positional advantage for whaz. He just stands his ground knowing that he has no reason to move unless he's got to push for those items. And he's done it every single time. Very calm and collected. It's like I said before, very calm and collected, and at the same time, his mechanics and aim skill has backed that up. And he's trying to back away again, away from Effortless. Finally, he gets that first frag, but he's only got a few minutes left here. As a lot of these frags, he can't really take too much damage, but against a player like whaz, where he's waiting for you to push in first, and especially with those defensive rockets, it's going to be extremely tough for Effortless to kind of execute that plan of action here. We'll see, though. He's could have only 3 minutes left in the Quake Pro League, depending on how whaz approaches this matchup for the rest of the time which is left here.
Good rocket jump up to the top. whaz kind of using that middle area to try to control. Another rocket hit. Unfortunately, these rails not connecting are really playing in the hands of whaz and could monumentally change the matchup here for Effortless. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, time ticking away. More rockets hitting. There's the piercing sight and missed rocket jump up to the top. you've got to rely on speed. There's definitely a sense of urgency here, but moments like that will just shave away the seconds, and 6 frags is going to be very, very difficult to pick up, especially with a few more ghost blocks in the rotation.
Look at this as well. whaz has read him like a book. Everywhere Effortless went, yeah, he's already said GG. Like literally everywhere Effortless went, no matter what angle, route, or path he took, whaz knew exactly where he was gonna go. It wasn't relying on audio cues or anything like that, just predictability, and whaz just did it with ease there. Just a great approach on this matchup. I wasn't too sure if it was going to work, but with all the positional advantage he had, he did make it work, and with some great accuracy in the process. Looking at 55% in terms of rail accuracy. His rockets were very good as well, 41% good usage of the defensive rockets every time Effortless made that aggressive push. Took a bit of time, but at least he managed to work out how to take down Effortless in this series. He managed to do it in map number 5 quite comfortably, being very back and forth, as there wasn't really very many maps where they were tight-knit in terms of scoreline here, but whaz just chilling at the moment, knowing that he's going to take it all in, having to secure that spot. But yeah, it's a shame to see Effortless go, really.
It is sort of the end of an era there. Certainly able to get back in, right? Having to fight through challengers. But that's a rough one, right? I mean, we experience this every stage final. There's 4 relegation matches. We've seen people come, we've seen people go. It definitely is sad. There is also some excitement around it as well. I mean, just to look at both sides of the coin. Lethal, it is exciting, thinking about new blood, right, that is coming into QPL, and unfortunately it's at the cost of players who have been putting a lot of time, effort into the games that we've seen on a weekly basis here. But this is the game of Quake. This is esports. This is how things go, and fortunately for whaz, he's able to pull it out in a 3-2 map win. And Effortless, congratulations on the impact and the, what you've done here in the QPL. It is definitely sad to see any player go, but as I mentioned, a little bit of excitement that a new player is ushered in.
Yeah, commiserations to Effortless. He does like to bring a lot of flair into the Quake Pro League, both on and off the server on a number of occasions over the last couple of years, but it is a real shame. I'm sure he'll be trying to come back if he can. And just only a few things to work on. It was very a momentum-based matchup from what we saw. That's why it was so back and forth, even from that one rail on the heavy by Effortless, which changed things around entirely. And then a couple of those directs you saw from whaz definitely gave him the momentum. So, yeah, it was very tough to call. That's why it was very hard to predict at the same time. But congratulations to whaz anyway. He's going to be extremely happy about that, knowing all the practice and preparation he's put in leading into this stage.
Let's bring Ketchup back, hear what he has to say about that. Seeing all these games going all the way to 5, and his thoughts as we lose a longtime player in the QPL with whaz's win.
It comes down to that bittersweet nature, doesn't it? Seeing the players come back into Pro League is great, but it always sucks saying goodbye to someone that's been around for as long as they have. But there are a few things to take away from that series, momentum being the key word. Even down to that first map on Vale, I was a big fan of how Effortless was kind of playing around the heavy there. The amount of times he was kind of able to get a good read on when whaz was going to go for it, and essentially just knocks him off kilter, right? And it kind of just spelled the rest from there. And then the selection of kind of one-sided maps that were back and forth. I know there was that interruption on Exile, so there's no need to really go into that one, but the Corrupted Keep one-sided, Ruins one-sided, and then that final map that I love the way whaz played it. He was able to be a pretty significant surgeon with the rail, is fair enough to say, but he hit that rail accuracy early. And that's enough to put the pressure on. So by the time you're hitting, 6 minutes or so, and whaz, he's not hitting as many rails as he used to, the pressure is now on, and then Effortless kind of has to be more predictable with how he chases it, which makes him more vulnerable to those defensive rockets. The amount of times whaz was able to kind of spring a rather easy trap. And then the nature of the matchup, Nyx versus Visor. When whaz had to start playing defensively, I loved the way he was picking his positions, because even down near LG, that little wall jump up near where Tribolt is, you will jump up there, that's it, you can run away, whereas Visor has to do a lot more work to chase you in that position. And that was kind of just the remaining sections of that map, I guess, that all in all, whaz played flawlessly. And he thoroughly earned his position with a decisive final map. So congratulations to whaz. Shame to see Effortless go, absolutely, but we have lots of good memories with him as well. And whaz will be playing on in this round of 16, folks.
That's right. That actually is another exciting thing. It's not just like, yeah, we'll see you next time in QPL. It's all right. Now show us what you can do versus the current talent, and that's quite exciting. So we do have one more relegation match for the NA region about to happen here, as Sib is going to be taking on Davis, as one will stay in. Of course, Sib coming in through the challengers in the last stage, and now Davis saying, all right, yeah, I'm here for to contend for your spot, so let's do it. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we will see the next best of 5 to determine if Sid will stay in or if Davis will be joining the ranks of QPL. Thank you so much for joining us here at QuakeCon for the QPL World Championships. We will be back with more right after this.